Hello and welcome to our first ever live YouTube video. For two up top is myself, Gav Mack and Alex Osborne. Alex, how are you, dude?
I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Welcome, Dane. On today's show, what we will be talking about on our first ever YouTube live stream. It is a game day review of week 30 in the Premier League. Welcome back to the Premier League. Thank you very much for coming, Prem. We'll be talking about embarrassing Arsenal. We'll be talking about the Palace push for European placings in the Premier League, and we'll be previewing as well all of Sunday's games, including the Merseyside derby, where Liverpool will be getting that a little bit closer to the title. It's myself, Gav Mack, and Alex Osborne, as you can see there. So, I don't know where to start, really, if I'm honest with you. I don't know whether to get out of the way or... No, let's talk about something else before I lose my absolute mind. Watford versus Leicester was the early kickoff, the lunchtime kickoff. Watford won, Leicester won. All the goals came as of 90 minutes from Ben Chilwell with a lovely strike, and then, you know, the best overhead kick of all time, according to one of our Watford friends, from Dawson. What were your thoughts on the game, Alex?
Not a lot. Both teams cancelled each other out. Again, it's the theme that ran through the Bundesliga. It's running through the Premier League, because this is players' first game in 3 months, and they've not had any pre-season to build up match fitness. It's the quality is showing, isn't it? Or the lack of quality, I should say, is showing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because look where Leicester are. Leicester are pretty much nailed third place. Watford, they're in a relegation battle. We're all aware of this, and they had a torrid time throughout the whole season. They had that little moment of glory around Christmas time when they won 4 out of 5, I think it was. They were the second most informed team behind Liverpool in the league at that point. And Leicester had already gone through their lull. You know, I think they had something like 4 wins in 14 in all competitions. But both teams, I felt, were very even yesterday. And I don't know whether that has anything to do with the COVID break or not, or whether Leicester were a little bit complacent in the Brendan Rodgers derby. Watford, we know that they need help, but if they continue putting in performances like that, then I can see every reason for them to stay up.
Ismail Assar is going to be a big determining factor in that. He was very good again yesterday.
Yeah, well, we've had the pleasure of seeing him live, and he is a joy. I look at Arsenal. I think you just spent 70-odd million on Pepe when you could have actually signed Sarr for pittance, really, and you've actually seen him play. You've actually had to deal with his pace and power and skill in front of your eyes over 2 legs. So I think Arsenal missed a trick there, and Watford have got an absolute gem.
Yeah, he's very, very good. He's very, very good. Great analysis, I know.
Great analysis. Chilwell strike, what do you think of that?
Didn't belong in the game. It was like one of those goals where it belongs in like an absolute, you know, like the Liverpool Newcastle classic from the mid-90s.
Yes.
That was the kind of game that it belonged in, not a turgid 0-0, what looked like it was drifting to a 0-0 draw, and then he just comes up with an absolute beauty. I love the little ping across the field. I can't remember who crossed it over to him, but it was one of those where it just floats into, and it was like he took the touch on the half volley, and it just laid perfectly in his path, and he just, as soon as he hit it, he was like, yeah, that's gone in.
Yeah, you know where it's going. You know exactly where it's going. What's Dawson thinking about doing overhead kicks on the 93rd minute?
He's thinking, I want to score. I need to score. Yeah, he's just hooked it in.
Do we question Schmeichel on that a little bit?
I think so. I mean, we're going to question De Gea. We're going to question Schmeichel. You know, I mean, it's closer in, so, you know, he has less time to react, but still, he's got a good hand to it, and he's only pushed it into the top of the net. So, yeah, definitely. I think we can question him.
Good stuff. Right. Non-Arsenal fans, make sure your eyes are peeled right now, because there's about to be a meltdown. Brighton 2, Arsenal 1. Goals from Pepe with the opener, just on the halfway point in the second half. Lewis Dunk, and then Neil Mopai However, there were quite a few talking points in this game. Let's start with the Leno challenge, the challenge by Mopai on Leno. What are your thoughts on that?
I personally think it's a bit malicious from Mopai, personally.
You think?
Yeah, well, you watch it. He's not really going for the ball because as he jumps, he turns his back into Leno and he pushes him. And Leno's already in a fairly awkward position catching it. And then all of that momentum from Maupai's catch, from Maupai's jumping into him, means that Leno just then completely and utterly lands awkwardly on his leg. And it's all well and good after the game, Rio saying, "Oh, I want my centre forward to do that. It's football, this, that, and the other." But that exact type of challenge in rugby gets a player sin binned. You cannot tackle a player in the air because they recognise how dangerous it is. So I was losing my head when Rio was going on about that because, he was completely in the wrong for that.
Do you think if there wasn't an injury as serious as it was, you would have the same mentality?
Oh, definitely. I always get annoyed when players do that. It's just in the same way that I get annoyed when goalkeepers, they come flying out like Edison did the other day. I know he flattened his own player, but it's dangerous when you've got mid-air collisions. There is a reason, like I say, in rugby, and rugby's a far greater contact sport than football is. They get sin binned for that type of challenge in the mid-air because it's dangerous, and it doesn't just because he got an injury or not doesn't excuse the fact that he's still done it. And for him to then crow afterwards saying that Arsenal players needed a bit of humility, that was such a poor show from Neil Mopai. And I don't want to really dwell on that too much.
Okay, let's not dwell on Neil Mopai too much, but let's talk about Arsenal just for a few moments. Why do they have such a poor mentality going into games? We talk about leadership, and there isn't a Gilberto Silva there anymore, or a Patrick Vieira, or a Tony Adams, etc. But these are all still professional footballers. Why can't they psych themselves up for a game and do something about it? 1-0 up, 20 minutes to go, should be looking at closing the game out.
Well, this is what's happening now is just basically is a culmination of what's been happening prior to this season, basically. And this is not me trying to absolve Arteta of any blame because we'll get into that, but this is a result of 10 years plus of neglect from the board, the previous management, and it's just resulted in such a sharp decline that you cannot reverse it in a 6-month period. And that goes to your lack of characters, your lack of leaders, because ultimately the recruitment has been appalling, and which is why they find themselves in this situation. When you recruit poorly and you don't drill into players the mentality, and you coast along on laurels, and you don't treat the football club, you don't have football people in the positions that you should need to, like with Bayern Munich, you look at Bayern Munich's board and backroom staff. It's full of football people, isn't it? People who've got an experience and background in football. Whereas when you look at Arsenal, it's corporate lawyers here, it's people who used to work for Apple and other things. It's like, well, hang on, why they're nothing to do with football, right? So it all starts from there, and it's allowed to fester for far too long, and Arsenal are now in sharp decline because of it.
Hey, look, I can go on a massive tirade about Arsenal right now, but if you want to do that, you're better off watching AFTV. We're a general football show, so I will try and keep as general as possible, but Arsenal need desperate help, and they need it from a higher power. But at the same time, they also need to make sure that the players on the field of play actually want to play for Arsenal, and if they don't want to play for Arsenal, they know where the door is, and just use whatever money they can recoup for that and get in players that want to play for Arsenal. Look at what Liverpool have done, and we've mentioned this prior on the show. Liverpool go out and buy players that are the best of the lesser teams, and they go to Liverpool and continue their drive. Arsenal don't do that. And until Arsenal are able to do that, then they will stagnate and they will be looking at multiple mid-table finishes. But on Brighton's hand, that is a very, very vital points, 3 points for Brighton in their fight against relegation.
It is. Personally, I don't think either side deserved to win that game yesterday. I thought it should have been a draw. On the balance of play, neither side did enough to win, but Brighton managed to snatch the victory late, right at the end there. I don't think Graham Potter did anything revolutionary to make Brighton deserved winners. Conversely, Mikel Arteta made numerous mistakes yesterday, which meant that Arsenal shouldn't have won either. So the fact that they managed to get a victory there, Brighton have obviously snatched the points.
Showed a bit of character, in my opinion. That's what it was all about, character. The evening game was West Ham 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Now, we love Wolves, and what they've brought to the Premier League is such a breath of fresh air. And it's that man Raul Jimenez again who scored, and Neto's strike was pretty tasty.
Yeah. Oh, that Neto goal! As soon as it left his boot, Jesus, that was that was a great goal. That was an absolute great goal. But I like the first goal as well. Raul Jimenez, mate, he's a proper centre forward. He is the centre forward that Arsenal should be having, because he's far. And I know you like Lacazette, but you've got to see the difference between Jimenez and Lacazette.
I like Lacazette. I don't bang on about saying Lacazette is world class or anything like that. I just think he's a good striker. I think Lacazette, when he was brilliant at his absolute peak, was when he was at Lyon and he had Nabil Fekir with him. Arsenal missed a trick there, and whoever wants to sign Nabil Fekir at the time should have signed Lacazette with them. You know,
personally,
they
I think
come
that's
together.
probably their level. That's probably their level, though. They're just in that type of league. Maybe they would do well in the Italian league, but when it comes to the Premier League, I don't think he's got the necessary physical qualities to do well.
That's fair enough.
Going back to Wolves, I'll tell you who looked good when he came on is that Adama Traore.
Well, we all know what Adama Traore could do.
He looks like he's turned the corner because, as you say, the break could have played him out of form.
Could have hindered him.
It could have obviously given players other teams to prepare for him. But when he came on, he was the one who made the difference, because it was 0-0 before he came on, and then he set up Jimenez's goal, didn't he? He was the one who put the cross in for Jimenez's goal. In fact, was he the one who put the cross in for Neto's goal as well?
I think it might have been, actually.
So yeah, he's strong, he's quick, he's direct, he's a pretty decent dribbler. What hindered him before was that he was
too quick. He was too quick.
But he would run down blind alleys, and he wouldn't know how to use his pace properly.
He didn't have. It seems like he didn't have a footballing brain. And Nuno Espirito Santo has turned him into a footballer, if that makes sense. You know, he's given him that football insight. He's given him the intelligence. And he's learned it. Obviously, he's had to learn it himself whilst he's been going along. It's almost like a case study, you know, learning on the job, but like an apprenticeship. But it's worked, and it's
worked.
It's you know, everyone's looking at him.
And I'll tell you what, as well, what it shows again, Wolves haven't spent obscene amounts of money, but look at the players that they've got into their side, and they've recruited well, and it's no coincidence, and it's no surprise that they're up at the top of the top end of the table, because they've got good football players and they've recruited well. And like I say, compare and contrast that to Arsenal, where lots of fans are going to be like, oh no, we need to spend all this money to get back. You don't. You just need to recruit and scout.
It's not about how much you spend; it's how you spend it. West Ham are classic at that, to be fair.
Exactly.
And West Ham,
we all thought that, you know, Haller was going to be. I know he didn't play yesterday, did he? I don't think. But we all thought he was going to be good. I still think he could be.
I still think he can.
He doesn't quite. I don't know if he quite fits into what West Ham want to do.
But what is the idea of what West Ham are meant to be? We don't really know what West Ham are meant to be. They're a little bit like Everton in that respect, and we'll be myself and Adam the Greek Harrow will be presenting the show tomorrow, and we'll be talking about Everton in depth because I have a feeling that they're not going to do much today. But we talk about what are Everton, but we also need to talk about what are West Ham, because West Ham, they haven't got an identity. The fans are like, yeah, we want to do this, we want to do that. And then they get players in that do that, but they're not good enough to do it. They spend a lot of money, West Ham, as well. I've got a feeling that they could go down mathematically, but I have a feeling that it might be them in 18th position at the end of the season.
Yeah, West Ham, I think West Ham are in trouble, personally.
They're not looking good. And then the night game, the first ever live Premier League game on BBC was Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 2. I heard a wonderful stat yesterday. It's the first time that two separate players that both play for Palace have scored in the same game for over a year.
Wow.
So and it's also their fourth clean sheet in the top flight in a row. That is a Crystal Palace record. Milivojevic, he scored a free kick after 12 minutes, and then Jordan Ayew, who loves scoring goals at the moment, after 23 minutes. Milivojevic, that free kick was sumptuous.
It was lovely. I wasn't expecting. I think that's the first free kick we've seen scored since we come back, isn't it?
It might have been. I've been so used to watching the relived Euro 96 on ITV Hub and seeing how terrible set pieces were in that competition, and then there's not been many free kicks in the Bundesliga that have been scored directly. That, for me, though, is inch perfect, because the keeper's actually got a hand on that. And it still wasn't enough. I don't blame Ramsdale for that whatsoever. That was all on the free kick and the technique of it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah, 100%.
Jordan Ayew, he scored after 23 minutes, and from that moment, Crystal Palace were able to manage the game and control the game. How often could we ever turn around and say Crystal Palace controlled the game well?
They don't score enough goals for them to ever control the game. That's the problem, isn't it? But yeah, Bournemouth are in trouble as well. I think Bournemouth are in trouble.
They're in serious trouble. We
thought that this break would do them well to get their injuries back, but they looked toothless. And Martin asked me the question: is if Bournemouth get relegated?
Just for the record, Martin is Alex's housemate, but also is a big part of the Two Up Top family. For people that haven't seen the show before.
He asked me if Bournemouth get relegated, would Eddie Howe get another Premier League job? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think Eddie Howe would. I think he would, and I honestly believe that, because this season he has been absolutely screwed by injuries. This is the first game back. It's very difficult to judge a team on their first game back after such a long hiatus. Look, it doesn't matter. If it was, just say it was the last game of the previous season and the first game of the new season, in that time period is a shorter window than what we have had just now. And also in that time period, you have a month off, and then a month and a half of friendlies and training, and play against your local team, just to get a little bit of revenue for your local team, and then playing some international tournaments and do whatever, so you've got enough time to build your team up ready for the new season. We haven't had that. So the first round of fixtures, the second round of fixtures will be a little bit potluck, and we already saw that in the Bundesliga already, and we've played a big part in the Bundesliga review shows so far, have we not? So we've been able to see what has been happening prior to the break and what comes out afterwards. Bournemouth, they've been struggling with injuries the whole time this season. At one point, they had 9 first-team players out with injury, including key players like Nathan Ake, like Callum Wilson, like Harry Wilson, and my boy David Brooks, who had a brilliant game yesterday, despite the poor form from the poor performance from Bournemouth?
We'll see. I'm not. I don't quite share the same optimism you do on Bournemouth there.
I think it's more. I think it's more of an Eddie Howe thing than a Bournemouth thing. As I said, like I don't think Bournemouth. If they go down this year, I don't think you could put the whole blame on Eddie Howe. There's only one game where I could think of tactically he got it all wrong, and that was the Watford game just before the break, and I thought that was a game down the bottom where you should be doing something out of it, and they just kept on playing that back. It was poor. It was poor. But yeah, Bournemouth, they're in a lot of trouble at the moment. A lot of trouble. Why don't we talk about some of the games that are happening today very briefly, and then we'll let everyone go off and watch their games. And the first game that we're going to be coming across is Newcastle versus Sheffield United. That is a 2:00 kickoff, so you'll be able to watch that in just over 35 minutes time on Sky Sports if you have Sky Sports, and if not, ask one of your pals for their Sky ID. Lovely. Newcastle versus Sheffield United. Where can you see this game going?
I see. Normally, I'd probably be looking at this as a draw. Sheffield United are going to feel aggrieved, obviously, what happens to them midweek. And again, I would say that they've already played a game, so they would probably be more favoured here because they've already had a game of match, and that doesn't make any sense. They've already had 90 minutes under their legs, whereas this is obviously Newcastle's first game. So advantage Sheffield United in that regard for it, but that didn't turn out to be the case with yesterday's game with Brighton and Arsenal. But I'm going with a draw in this one. I think it's going to be 0-0, 1-1, something like that.
I've lost your audio, but it has been recording, so that's the main thing. So it's going to be absolutely winged for a couple of moments because I have no idea what you just said there. But for me, my prediction of this game is that Sheffield United, yes, they have had that 90 minutes. So Newcastle, I can't. That if there's a definition of toothless in the Premier League, it is Newcastle, because you got Joelinton, who scored 1 goal all season. It's funny because our Bundesliga show with our inside information guy, Flo Wolfram, who works for Bayer Leverkusen, he knows Joelinton, not personally, but has seen him on a much more regular basis. You know, I watched a few games with him in. He looked okay, not 45 million okay. But other than that, I can't really see where Newcastle are going to be scoring many goals. It's going to be a tight one. I think it's going to be a 1-0 Sheffield United, in my opinion. So probably be Elise Mousset, because when Sheffield United win 1-0, it tends to be Elise Mousset. The team news is out. I haven't got it to hand, but yeah, I can see Sheffield United winning that game. The game afterwards is Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Now, this is going to be very interesting because I can't hear what Alex is saying. So I love technology. That is a 4:15 kickoff. All the games are on Sky Sports today, for the record. So once again, just make sure you got a decent pal with their Sky ID and you'll be able to watch it on their Sky Go, etc. Aston Villa, they might feel a little bit buoyed by their result against Sheffield United this week, but I can't see Chelsea losing this game. I should say I can see Chelsea coming out of the blocks and doing a real solid job on Villa and cementing their space in the top 4. Yeah,
Chelsea will win this game, even though Villa have had the game already. I think Chelsea will just be too strong for them, and they'll be buoyed by the fact that they've had a couple of signings announced during the break. So yeah, I can see the Chelsea being buoyed by that, along with some players that had returned from injury again, Tammy Abraham included. So yeah, Chelsea win for me.
There you go. And the Merseyside derby, 7:00 tonight, as Liverpool just go that little bit closer to lifting their first ever Premier League title and their first league title since 1990, when I was just a little nipper. I was 2, nearly 3 when that happened. Alex was probably about 64 years old. I can't hear what you're saying, so that's fine. I was going to keep walking over that. I can see your facial reactions, but that's fine. Everton, I'm sure myself and Adam Harrenau will be cutting apart Everton tonight. Hey, look, as far as I'm concerned, break or not, Liverpool are going to absolutely storm this game. You should look at, it's a local derby, yada, yada. But if we go back to the FA Cup game earlier on this season, and third round of the FA Cup, when Liverpool clearly didn't really care that much about the tournament and threw all their kids out there, and Everton had the strongest side that they could possibly name and still weren't able to pick up a victory. It's just a mental block now for Everton, and I can't see a way of Everton picking up any points, not even a single point against Liverpool, especially the fact that I feel that Liverpool want to get the title wrapped up as quickly as possible and then let everyone rest, and then they could put some kids out or some fringe players. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I don't think Everton have beat Liverpool for a decade now, have they? In all competitions. So yeah, Liverpool win. One win closer to the title. Pretty much that's it.
I think he stopped talking. So we'll I'll go with that. As I said, I can't hear what you're saying. So I agree. Now let's have a look at the table at the moment. That's the wrong table. I haven't got a table to hand. So we won't look at the table at the moment. Instead, what we'll do is look forward to the games later on today. And also we have got a number of shows this week. So as you can see, you're currently watching the Sunday 21st of June 1 p.m. game, we show live on YouTube currently. Tomorrow it will be myself and Adam the Greek at 7 p.m. reviewing everything that's happened today and previewing Manchester City versus Burnley. That is going to be live on Facebook, on our Facebook page at 7 o'clock, and you'll be able to see all our social media links in a few moments' time. We've got 2 shows on Thursday, which we're really looking forward to. We've got the Premie League Game Day 31 review and preview, because there's still going to be a couple of games on Thursday that we will be dying to see. That is going to be at 11 a.m. live on our YouTube channel, so make sure you tune in for that. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, as you should all know and should all be doing already. At 5 p.m. we have our top 5s. It'll be myself, Gav Mack, Alex Osborne and Stephen Buck, cutting down our top 5 fullbacks in Premier League history. So make sure you put your £2 worth in for that as well. And then on Saturday morning next week, you'll see myself and Alex doing the weekend preview of the FA Cup games. Now, for myself and Alex Osborne. Oh, before I go, I should say, before I say goodbye, there's our social media links. Like and share, like, share, subscribe, and all that jazzamataz. There's our Twitter handle. There it is. There is our Instagram handle. And because on Facebook, I normally put the Facebook bit on YouTube, I'll do exactly the same. At 2 Up Top Football on all social media platforms. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.